It's been a while since I did a video on Chicago. Well, a lot of the violence happening in the city of Chicago, mostly the South Side of Chicago. It's been kind of clear that a lot of people don't actually really care about what's happening in Chicago with all the gun violence, all the gang violence. It's quite clear to me and people who are actually paying attention that these politicians don't really care about resolving, talking about, or trying to control the issue. It's more about either they'll just let it happen and then they'll blame somebody else for it instead. The people in charge of the city. My my thing is Chicago has been a complete hellhole for the past 20 years. There's a reason why people call it Chirac, because there's so much destruction, anarchy, so much blood being spilled there that it's kind of become normal in Chicago about how violent it is, and some people think it's not a problem. It actually is, especially if you're talking about uh, the the black on black violence needs to stop. Black people killing black people need to stop. They will People will talk about that, but then they won't look. They won't go to the three major cities with the highest killings that's coming from black people killing black people, like Detroit, St. Louis, and Chicago are the top three cities for black people killing black people. They got, and the thing about that is Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the United States, from what I read. You can't have a criminal record. You have to go through this. You have to get this permit. You have to get that permit in order to own a gun. But a lot of these gun shootings that's happened have been coming from people who haven't legally purchased a gun. Now, the reason I'm talking about Chicago in this video is because the Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, aka Beetlejuice, has called a health crisis in Chicago for racism and nothing else. The biggest health crisis in Chicago right now is racism, and not the gang violence, not the Crips and the Blood killing each other back to back. Chicago's black person rate keeps on decreasing every day because of the gang violence. Now, the biggest problem in Chicago is the racism. Racism, people. Come on. Let me read y'all this article from a Chicago news source. We can no, Quote from Lori Lightfoot. We can no longer allow racism in our residents to. Yeah, we can no longer allow racism. Our residents to rob the residents of the opportunity to live and lead for who wrote this article, first of all, and lead for healthy and happy lives. And we are working closely with the Chicago Department of Public Health and community organizations to address these inequities once and for all, Mayor Lori Lightfoot said. The mayor and Chicago Public Health Commissioner Allison Already saying the city needs to build on its work to improve anti-racist policies that address the root causes of inequity. Lightfoot called for improving anti-racism policies, building capacity for anti-racist leadership, reckoning with the impacts of racism, advancing strategies to opportunize racial equity, empowering transformative community relationships. Seriously, when did this whole quote unquote anti-racism stuff start? You're either racist or you're not. It's not anti-racist. You're just not racist. It doesn't have to be anti-racist as some SJWs pointed out. You're either racist or you're not. It's one of the other people. To continue with this article, CDPH announced that it will be using $9.6 million in COVID-19 relief funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to create 6 healthy Chicago equity zones covering the wild city. The city is partnering with 6 community organizations as part of the Healthy Equity Zones. Far South, Phalanx Family Services, Near South, Greater Auburn, Gresham Development Corporation, North Central, Swedish Hospital, Northwest Side Housing Center, Southwest Organizing Project, West, Rush University Medical Center on behalf of the West Side United. Those organizations are charged with creating community-based coalitions to develop strategies to improve wellness. As we continue to recover from the pandemic, these coalitions will also lead hyper-local strategies to confront the risk factors, healthcare and social services access, food access, housing condition, community safety, and the physical and built neighborhood environments, said CDI plus PH Commissioner Dr. Allison Already. The announcement comes after CDPH released a study earlier that this week on the health of black Chicagoans. The report revealed a growing life expectancy gap between black and non-residents more than 9 years, with the non-blacks living more than 9 years than black people in Chicago. CDDAD also shows life expectancy is falling from Latinx and Asian residents. So this whole racism is the biggest problem in Chicago thing. It's complete farce. Mayor Lori Lightfoot just, instead of creating policies that can help out with the black community, trying to stop the black community from killing themselves, she rather just point out all these black people killing black people is just from racist policies that she has not done anything about. She's been in Chicago Mayor for like what 2 years now, and apparently she just coming up with a plan about helping out the black community, but instead of like addressing it, she's taking $10 million from the COVID-19 relief fund that she did not need in the first place, because a lot of these cities that got that stimulus package from the pork bills that President Trump had no choice but to sign. Most of them had not even spent it. California still has the majority of its stimulus package, and they're just saving it for when things hit the fan. A lot of these states, mainly blue states, who got the majority of money in the COVID-19 relief packages, have not even spent their money. They still have them, but they just holding on to it, and then people are wondering why their taxes are increasing, why gas prices are increasing, why sales taxes are increasing, and they are confused like, yo, this is gotta be the work of Republicans. No, it's the work of Democrats. Here's the thing: the biggest problem in Chicago is not a racism problem. It's a gang violence problem. It's the black culture problem. There's a major problem in the South Side of Chicago where black culture is basically bombing themselves. It's black people killing black people, gangs, the Crips versus the Bloods, and there's still the major problem with children born out of wedlock without a father, single parent households in Chicago. There's still that problem, but apparently to the Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, that's not the problem. The biggest problem is racism. So I ended up pulling up another article from the Washington Examiner that says, quote, "Gang life, not racism, is responsible for Chicago's violence," Alderman says on June 19th. Residents in one Chicago ward are giving up account to police as the city fails to protect them from violent crime, according to one city council member. You guys defund the police. Of course, there's not going to be enough cops to come out. So again, this is another city where defund the police failed people. Alderman Raymond Lopez described the violence plaguing his constituents in the city's 15th ward and beyond, slamming Democrat Mayor Lori Lightfoot, whose law enforcement policies and focus on systematic racism, he said, are doing little to stop the mostly gang-related violence. Because again, what does systematic racism have to do with gang violence? You can't. There's no comparison with the two. One stop people from getting loans or achieving a privileged school. Another just straight murders black people on a daily basis. quote, generational gang life isn't just something that's encouraged. It's almost rare in some neighborhoods. Lopez, whose constituents are about 67% Latino and 22% black, told the Washington Examiner in an interview, if you really want to get to what is at the heart of a lot of this, it is gangs. It is the borderline collapse of the family unit in many of our neighborhoods. Lightfoot has avoided calling out gangs in our community as a source of violence in the neighborhood, which is true. I have not seen one article of basically any Democrat in saying, "Yo, this gang violence needs to stop." This gang violence needs to stop. Gang life, which Lopez said reaches all the way from high school students to fourth and fifth graders, were responsible for the recent shooting death of a 14-year-old girl in one of his neighborhoods and other recent shootings. During the June 4th through June 6th weekend alone, 5 people were killed and more than 50 others were shot, including an 11-year-old girl across Chicago, while the number of some violent crimes such as robbery and aggravated battery is down. Murders are up, according to the city crime rates, with 282 year-to-date murders. By the week ending on June 13th, the homicide rate is up 5% from 2020 and 25% from 2029. Part of the reason such killings continue is that local schools are taking a hugs and kisses approach to deal with known cases of gang affiliation among students. Lopez said, rather than one that informs the police and introduces the criminal justice system in the equation. So again, the problem in Chicago is not racism; it's the gang violence. But why apparently? But why isn't this mainstream? Why is it always racism that's always in the eyes of mainstream media instead of, like, the major problems in the black community with the collision with each other, especially during the Crips and Bloods, because both those gangs are majority black. You have leftist media that says, yo, black people need to be, we need to focus on the black community, but at the same time they're more focused on what the white man is doing. The leftist media is all about helping the black community, but they don't want to address the problems with it. They don't want to come up with actual real solutions to actually stop the gang violence in Chicago, St. Louis, and Detroit. It's always about racism with these people. It's always about racism with this organization, because the Democrat Party is an organization. Leftist media is an organization. CNN, MSNBC, they talk about all these shootings and all this violence and all these school shootings, but they want to talk about the shootings in Chicago alone. I think one weekend in Chicago last year, 30 people got shot. 30 people. That is tremendous. But you won't have leftist media calling this out because they don't want to talk about the black community. They don't want to talk about how to fix it. Now, you may have some you would have some people saying, like, yo, what are the Republicans doing? The Republicans are not in charge of these cities with the highest black on black violence. It's the Democrats. St. Louis, Detroit, and Chicago have been in charge was in charge by the Democrats for over 30, 40 years. Now, will I say they'll be better? Who knows? Who knows what might happen? Because you have a lot of Republicans that just all talk and no bite. Lori Lightfoot, she just like Gretchen Whitmer, Andrew Cuomo, Gavin Newsom, they all suck. They can never get their facts straight. They will have you in lockdown, but then they go out on vacation the next day to Florida, and they talk about Florida is the biggest health crisis for people who are trying to fight COVID-19. They would take a vacation in Florida or go to a restaurant, but you gotta stay home. All these governors violated they own COVID mandates. And now you got Lightfoot taking $10 million from the COVID relief package. Like, color me wrong, but Chicago is not one of the top 10 cities for COVID-19 deaths. It's gang violence. Yet again, but racism is the biggest problem. Are you out of your mind, Lightfoot? Is anybody actually buying this besides leftist brainwashed people? Come on, racism is not the biggest problem in Chicago. As soon as people realize that, then we'll be able to have like an actual conversation. Instead, like you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let me guys know what y'all think about this. Think about this story. Do you think Lightfoot is on something, or do you think she's just pandering to the woke leftist mob? If you like what I'm saying, like, I'm subscribed, share the video. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.